Today is the first of the series of sessions, the inauguration session, and these lectures will continue every Monday and Thursday till November 8th. In each of these sessions, we will begin with a blissful lecture on a selected verse of Sri Damodarastakam. This will be followed by the recitation of Sri Damodarastakam and offering ghee lamps to Lord Damodar by our wonderful hosts and all the devotees. In Nectar of Devotion, chapter 12, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada mentions performing devotional service in Kartika. One of the most important of these ceremonial functions is called Urja Vrat. Urja Vrat is observed in the month of Kartik, October, November, especially in Vrindavan. There is a special program for temple worship of the Lord in his Damodar form. Damodara refers to Krishna's being bound with rope by his mother Yashoda. It is said that just as Lord Damodar is very dear to his devotees, so the month known as Damodara or Kartik is also very dear to them. By the mercy of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, we have the good fortune to hear, introspect, and meditate on Sri Damodarastakam from a very senior Vaishnava of Damodar Desh Yatra. I am indeed very fortunate to introduce today's speaker, His Grace Jiva Jagannath Prabhuji. Prabhuji is the disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. He joined ISKCON in 1996 and his year of initiation was 1999. His second initiation was in 2011. Prabhuji does many sevas for Damodar Desh Yatra, including preaching in various languages, Telugu, English, Hindi. In addition to this, he has various administrative sevas, Diksha coordination, mentoring and counseling of many devotees. We've had the good fortune of hearing some of very inspirational lectures of Prabhuji on both the NBS platform and also at Rakal Krishna Desh. Prabhuji is well supported by Her Grace Revati Gopi Mataji. Mataji is one of the senior most devotees in Damodar Desh Yatra, serves devotees along with His Grace Jagajiva Jagannath Prabhuji. She is a Shiksha Guru to many devotees. Her simple and humble nature attracts everyone. She takes Telugu classes every day. Her shloka recitation is par excellence. She's a very good cook, makes excellent Andhra recipes. They have one daughter, Her Grace Mahasundari Devidasi Mataji, who is married and in US. I would now request His Grace Murlidhar Chand Das Prabhuji to welcome His Grace Jagajiva Jagannath Das Prabhuji and Her Grace Revati Gopi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Radhika Mataji. His Grace Jagannath Prabhuji ki jai. Her Grace Revati Gopi Mataji ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Welcome Prabhuji to this Damodar Aarti festival at Rakal Krishna Desh. With your blessings, we will start the inaugural session and hope to continue in the same phase. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu, for your kind words, and I welcome you all for this program, inaugural Damodar Aarti program of 2022. So today, once again, thanks a lot for giving me this very important and valuable service. So today I will be, being an inaugural session, I thought of doing a summary of Damodara Astakam prayers as such, with a gist of Damodara Leela. So most of the content that I will be presenting, you might be knowing, but actually the format of the flow of the explanation of Damodara Leela is taken and adopted from an article that was written by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, a very famous preacher, a writer in ISKCON. So I was very impressed by it when I read it about 4 years back. So every time during Damodara programs, Kartik month, I again open those notes and go through that. So I'll try to, in next 45 minutes, I will run through what I have learned from that explanation of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So that is it okay, Prabhu? Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, clear.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So before we dive into the lessons learned based on Damodarastakam, let's do a quick brief and a prelude and a preamble. This is mainly because today is the first day of Damodara programs. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get to know in the Naimisharanya, the great sages meet and they ask Suta Goswami through Shaunaka Rishi 6 questions. And one of the 6 questions is that why does Lord come and perform such activities? What is it? Give us the detailed description of the Leelas of the Lord, or the pastimes of the Lord. Why does he come? Some aspects of it we get to know from Bhagavad Gita, that he came to establish Dharma, he came to protect sadhus and things like that. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are several shlokas also that explain this. I'll just cover 2 of them to get us onto a board to know why the Lord comes and performs the pastimes. One thing I forgot to tell, since Damodara programs have been happening many years now, all of you must have heard a lot about Damodara Leela, Damodara pastimes in depth. So kindly take this session also as a revision. If at all you come to see or listen or hear today, whatever you already know, but there's nothing wrong in hearing again and again, because that is how we cleanse our heart. So every time we hear something about Lord and his pastimes, always useful. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 34th shloka, there is an explanation that Bhavayatyesha Satvena Lokan Vai Loka Bhavana Leela Avatar Anurato Devatiryan Naradishu. So the Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower species. And he assumes the roles of incarnations, many incarnations that we see, right? And he performs pastimes to reclaim those who are in the mode of pure goodness. So one of the pastimes the Lord performs, various incarnations, various types of incarnation. One aim is to reclaim. That means he wants to take back those people who are in the pure mode of pure goodness. So from wherever we are in the mode of passion or ignorance, our journey of bhakti, our journey of devotional service should eventually take us to goodness and then slowly to the pure, mode of pure goodness. We are not there yet. We are very far from that stage. But this is one of those things that should be our objective of our life, to slowly and steadily move away from mode of passion and ignorance, which are very dominant forces in us, towards that goal. Because when we go to the mode of goodness, automatically here Lord is saying that he will reclaim. That means we have come to this material world, but we have learned our lessons and we are going into the path of goodness. So Lord will come and take us back through his leelas. So that is one thing. So that's a benefit of listening to the pastimes of the Lord and performing vratas like Kartik Vrata and things like that, because each and every activity will take us to the mode of goodness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 33rd chapter and 36th shloka tells, Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham deham astitaha bhajate tadrisha krida yashrutva tatparo bhavet. So Lord assumes, among the many incarnations that he does, Lord also assumes a human-like body, also in some of the incarnations. And he does it to show mercy to his devotees. And he also engages in such pastimes that will attract those who hear about them or become dedicated about to that. So he takes the human form of body, a material human, appearing to be a material human-like body, performs human-like activities and also supernatural activities, mainly to attract us, so that when we get attracted to those pastimes, we get dedicated to them. So from that attention to about the Lord to a stage where we believe that Lord is there, Krishna is there, and we experience it, and from that converted experience into an attraction is what Lord does the pastime. So that's why it's important to read, listen to these pastimes. So Srimad Bhagavatam also says, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hrudayantas Soyi Avadrani, Vidunoti Surut Satam. So by continuously listening to the pastimes of the Lord, the heart gets purified, and abhadra, the inauspiciousness in the heart, goes away. So this is the reason why devotees over and over again, even though they know the pastimes in depth, keep on listening and listening, so that they get more and more attracted towards the pastime. It is just like the way we keep chanting, we can keep remembering the holy names of the Lord. More and more we do that, more and more attraction we are supposed to get, and we get it. So the whole of this Damodara month, of course, the prime Leela that is generally discussed is about the Leela of Damodar, how Lord Krishna became Damodar, and also how he has delivered Nalakovera and Manikriva. This is the crux of the whole month. But in the course of the month, in the sessions that we have, we also tend to see the other Leelas of the Lord here and there. But if you see the Leelas as depicted in the Krishna, Supreme Person of the Godhead, the very famous book that Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, has written, or the description that come in the 10th canto, predominantly on the Krishnas and some of the Balarama's pastimes, they come in a sequence. Like first, of course, the Krishna's appearance is described in 10th canto in the beginning chapters, and then after Krishna appeared, and then he moved to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya's house. The first known pastimes of eliminating the Dushkrutis or the demons starts with Putana, when Krishna was only days old. And then from that 3 or 4 days old, Krishna does thing to Putana, and at about 100th day or 3 months plus pastime is revealed as Trinavrata. And then almost just after that, the vision of the universal form, that pastime, Krishna eating mud, and his friends going and complaining to Yashoda Maya asking Krishna to open the mouth, and she sees the whole universe in his mouth. A very famous pastime. That whole chapter comes. In between, in the course of that, before that, Nanda Maharaj calls Gargamuni, and Gargamuni explains to them who is Krishna, and so on and so forth. And interestingly, this is a pastime that happens when Krishna is months old. Right? He's still just crawling, baby kind of a person. From that time onwards to 3rd year, this Damodara happens. So from 3 months to 3 years, there's a big jump. Interestingly, Sukadeva Maharaj does not tell much what has happened from that 3 months pastime, the universal form, to Damodara. Not much is described, not much is known or explained. So it also, there could have been many pastimes that could have happened definitely in those time, because every day Krishna would have been enacting so many pastimes. But Sukadeva Goswami somehow takes a pause and goes a leap fast forward, and then lands up when Krishna is in 3 years of age. And then he gives the wonderful Leela of Damodara. And like Krishna, from a crawling baby, he now becomes a standing and walking baby. So that's how the transition happens. And probably Shukdev Goswami thought, when he wants to start the description of the pastimes of the Lord, now when he's crawling, Damodara should be the first one to be explained, because this is loved, enjoyed by many, many devotees and acharyas also. And then liberation of Nalakuvera Manikriva happens, and then killing of Agasura, stealing of cowherd boys and cowbell Brahma, and all those things happen. So this is the thing that we need to remember, that after a very big gap of age from vision of universal form, suddenly we come to know about Damodara when Krishna is 3 years old. So in brief, we all know the pastimes, so I'll quickly go through. Baby Krishna is already known as butter thief, even in the previous Leela of eating butter, eating the mud. Krishna already started stealing. That chapter itself starts telling that Krishna is a butter thief. And Yashoda wanted to give him a lesson. She gets one very, very much absorbed into this, in satisfying Krishna. She's trying to give him the best milk, and then she goes and attends to the boiling milk in the stove. Krishna gets angry, and then he goes and breaks the pots and gets the butter, and Mother Yashoda comes, and she's very much aggrieved to see Damodara like this, because the pastime of he stealing the butter and people trying to complain and enjoying that complaints actually happens in the previous chapter. So in this chapter, she's basically trying to discipline Krishna, and then she runs after him, she binds him, and Krishna thus becomes Damodara. And then she leaves Krishna in the garden with the bonded mortar and the rope, and Krishna crawls through the gardens and goes through 2 trees, and then relieves Nalakuvera and Manikriva. And through this pastime, Krishna definitely gets the name of Damodara. So this is the crux of the pastime. Krishna wanted something, Mother Yashoda was giving Krishna what he wanted, but for a small moment of thing that she put him aside and wanted to take care of something that is supposed to be used for Krishna, but Krishna, in order to enact the pastime, displays that anger, and also eventually he has to relieve Nalakuvera and Manikriva. That also the end of the pastime. He does all that nice things and also gives a lot of joy and enjoyment to the people around him in that place of Nanda Maharaj's palace. So that's how Krishna becomes Damodar. And many acharyas have seen this Damodara pastime as a very unique, because Lord in this pastime displays something we normally do not expect Lord to do. In other pastimes, Lord, is there some demon comes, it is a bad person, so he kills it. So we can expect God to do that, right? Because it's the very purpose he has come. Or some devotees or some demigods, somehow or other, they also get influenced by mode of passion, and they try to doubt or do something about God, and then he teaches them few nice lessons. So this is also expected of a God. But for a God to display that he's a thief and he's disciplined by his mother and is bound, is punished, and everybody is trying to make fun of him, is not a characteristic that is displayed by God. So that's why this Leela has a very special space, and acharyas have loved it. Oh my God, we can also see Lord in this mode. And also this Leela also has a very deep-rooted manifestation of Vasalya Bhav that is displayed by Yashoda, and also a Madhurya Bhav. Because Damodar Leela happens in 2 places. One is Mother Yashoda binding Krishna when he is very young, and other is once Radharani also binds Krishna. When they were supposed to meet, Krishna comes late, and there is a very nice conversation that happens, and Radharani binds him with a golden rope. So that's why in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, if you see during Kartik particularly, they also show that Radha is tying Krishna. And Goswamis and Acharyas also explained this pastime, and that's why during Damodara, Radharani is also glorified, and Radha Damodar, the main aim of this festival is to please Radha Damodar. So we have Yashoda and Krishna doing the pastime, and Radha and Krishna also. So this is how it is. So that's why this pastime has attracted so many acharyas. They liked it, and they dwelled into that so much, and so much of nectar came out from them. So Satyavrata Muni is also one of those great devotees who also finds this pastime to be very interesting. So he has written Damodarastakam, and this Astaka is a string of 8 verses, as we all know. And the one that we sing during Damodara Aarti programs is found in Padma Purana, of course, compiled by Veda Vyas. And then it comes in the conversation between Narada Muni and Shravanaka Rishi. This is the place. And then the glories of that are also described in Haribhakta Vilas in 216 and 198. So when we think about this, we can really see, one is, it's very clear that how powerful is this thing, because it's now sung across the world, right? So many devotees are singing on a day-to-day basis. 24/7 this Damodarastakam is being sung throughout the universe by so many people, so many nationalities, so many cultures, and in so many tunes. So unless there is an extremely latent power in this prarthana, it wouldn't have reached this stage, right? No matter how much of branding one can give, but unless it has got an intrinsic power, it cannot touch the hearts of the people. So the fact that Damodara Astaka has become so popular means there's something very much great in that. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has basically explored that greatness. And today I will try to walk you through to what are those important points that I have learned from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's article. Again, I repeat, some things may be, you may find it, you already know it, but kindly consider it as a revision. And the whole idea is that after every stanza, I'll briefly explain this stanza, and I'll also show in the screen share the important points of that verse. And among the important points, you will find one point which is in red. That is, in my opinion, that's the most important point to remember. So like that, by the end of this session, in the next 30 minutes, we should be able to get 8 points. And those 8 points we should be able to memorize. And by memorizing that thing, what we are doing is, we are trying to get the very crux of the philosophical conclusions of Damodara Astaka, the way Satyavrata Muni has elaborated, and by the way Acharyas have explained. And after listening and understanding and experiencing those Acharyas, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has given us in the form of an article. So first, let's see why these things are great works for a minute or two. One is that it is sung throughout the world now. Prayer, if you see, it's a universal language, right? There's no language to the prayer. Everybody prays. Prayer means basically we are, through our heart, human heart, we are trying to communicate to the divine, the Lord, object of our worship. It could be Krishna, it could be Rama, it could be anything, whatever we feel is the supreme object of our life. We pray so that our heart basically gets connected to that. So from prayer, poetry is an artistic means of verbalizing that heart's deep emotions. So I have a very, very, very deep and profound emotions about somebody. And when I want to try to express, even though prayer is an universal language, it somehow or other comes in some form of a poetry, particularly for great exalted devotees. And when the prayer becomes an artistic means of verbalizing what is my deep emotions when I'm communicating with the Lord, poetry comes. And of course, poetry is followed by singing the same poetry in a method to express one's emotions. And that's where the singing actually touches our heart. Why that singing touches our heart? Because there's an underlying artistic expression of verbalizing our heart's emotions are there in the form of poetry, and that poetry is written as a form of prayer. Satyavrata Muni writes this Damodarastaka as a prayer. Namamishwaram Sachitananda Rupam. He basically takes obeisances to the Lord and then starts to explain the Leela. So when these three get integrated, singing, poetry, and prayer, when they get integrated, and that's where is the divine touch. And the great devotees who have exemplified in doing that are super great, because to the mankind, they have given us something phenomenal thing for us to make use of their work. And when we express those emotions and the poetry through singing, we also get benefit. We are talking today about Satyavrata Muni, but there are many great devotees like this. In the Gaudiya Parampara, acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so many, and Goswamis, and then Tukaram, and Purandara Das, Annamacharya, Tyagaraja, all these people. Why I'm telling these names is the things that they have written, prayers that they have written, which have become a form of poetry, and then some music known people have built the tunes, and we are singing, right? After 400 or 500 years, somebody writes, and then we still sing. So you can know the power of it. It's not transient. It is going on generation. And some of the poems or these prayers get more and more glorified as more and more people sing. And Damodarastaka, probably in the current age, in the last 40 years, if you see any Astaka or any prayer of the Lord, which got glorified so much universally, is definitely Damodarastaka stands in very high in the order. Like as I told, ISKCON itself has got 600 temples and probably 10,000 plus units, like the devotees in the RAK, more than 10,000. So in the month of Damodara, all these things, 10,000 things and 600 temples throughout the world, they're singing this. So it has got a solid power in it. It's just not that we sing and give arti and go. So we have to also dive a bit deeper to know what is being told in that. Then we know the power of it. When we know the power of it, then we'll understand the emotions of the author. And then when we understand the emotions of the author, then our prayer, when we sing, we can really communicate with the divine, our object of worship. Here the object of worship is Krishna in the form of Damodar. So that's the brief introduction. So we have the first verse, Namamishwaram Sachitananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam Gokule Bhrajamanam, Yeshodabhyulo Lukadhavamanam, Paramrushtam Atyanto Durtigopta. Here basically Satyavrata Muni is he's telling the Leela in brief. Are you able to see, Prabhu? I'm sharing the screen.
Screen is not seen, Prabhu, yet.
Not yet. 1 second. Sorry, Prabhu, 1 second. I'll share the screen. Oh, you're not able to see the screen? Okay, 1 second, Prabhu. I'll share the screen. Just hold on. So basically here he's explaining the Leela, and then he's basically taking a very humble position in the Leela. 1 second, Prabhu. Yeah, you're able to see it, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, now it's visible.
So he's basically starting to describe the Leela in brief, very brief. That Yashoda Maya is running, and and Krishna is also running, and she's trying to catch. Yeah, and then he's paying respectful obeisances to the Lord, because Satyavata Muni the whole thing of narration has got a very underlying characteristic of the Dasya Bhav. Even though he's describing a Leela which is a Vatsalya Bhav, he has himself positioned as a Dasya, a servant. And that's why he pays obeisance to the Lord. And Krishna is described as an offender, very uncharacteristic of God. And he's also described as a Brajamanam. He's a proud person. He's making Braja very proud and very happy. And the uncatchable Lord cannot be caught, but he's caught and he's in fear. He's afraid. And here in the first verse, Satyavrata Muni is telling us the controller gets controlled. So he gives us a glimpse of what's going to happen in this Leela. The controller, Namameshwaram Sachitananda Rupam, is a supreme person of the Godhead. Somehow he gets control. The controller gets control is the first the key thing that is described when he's describing the Leela. So he is basically, in a very one shloka itself, he's telling the Leela that Krishna is offender, even though he's the Braja Mana, he's running, but he's afraid, and he's having wonderful ornaments, all that is there, but he's caught. So straightforward, quickly he described this, and he's running and things like that. It's very unusual to a lot to run and run away, right? It also happens later during Jarasandha's pastime. Krishna becomes Ranchor. Here he's running because he's Makanchor. So Leela in brief, test, controller gets controlled. So in the next shloka, can someone read the shloka or should I read it from here? Yeah, can someone has got Ruduntam Hurnetra? Or should I'll read it, Prabhu, otherwise it'll be confusing.
I'll do it, Prabhu.
Okay, fine.
Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam rajantam karamboja yugmena satanka netram muhushvasakam patri rekanka kantha stitagraivadamodaram bhakti baddham.
Hare Krishna. So here the description of the pastime continues. So he's running, he's got caught, and when he's got caught, very nice description that again uncharacteristic of God. He tears, he started crying. Lord himself is crying, but normally when we have tears, we go to the Lord and Lord pacifies us. But here, no, what can we do? Lord himself is crying. It's a very, very unusual situation. And then, of course, in this shloka, second shloka, Satyavrata Muni describes him as Damodara. Okay, so the word Damodara that we normally use rope, and he got born with rope, he becomes Damodara. But actually, acharyas were not very acharyas who dwelt in the explanation. They were not very happy with that explanation, and they said, no, there's a problem there, because anybody, you can use this definition, and if I tie my daughter or a granddaughter with a rope, and then I call her Damodar grandson, Damodar, it's not proper. So then they further gave explanation. The one who got tied by Yashoda is Damodar. So they took that word, meaning of the word, very carefully. So that's why we should also be conscious that when we talk about Damodara, it is Dama and Udara of Krishna. So Yashoda might bound Krishna to the rope, and that's why he became Damodara. Just because binding somebody on belly, they will not become Damodara. And then it also describes the health of the handsomeness of Krishna, about his neck and of his posture and things like that. And the most important thing, of course, in this shloka, he gets the name Damodara. That's important for us as far as this program is concerned, this month is concerned. But the most important, this is my favorite line among all the 8 important lines that I get it, my personal favorite. Lord is bound not by the length of the rope, but by the depth of devotion. We get that explanation of 2 inches short and Mother Yashoda is trying to do, and everybody is trying to help her. But ultimately, it is his decision. But what has propelled his decision to be bound? Even though it was his decision to be bound, but there was a trigger for his decision to be bound, and that is the depth of Mata Yashoda Mata's devotion, or Vatsalya Bhav, or devotion. So Lord is bound by the length of the rope. Lord is bound not by the length of the rope, but by the depth of devotion. In the first shloka, we get the controller gets controlled, and now that same controller is bound by not by the length, but by the depth of devotion. And of course, he is also known as Rasa Raja. Here, Satyavrata Muni beautifully describes how the rasa of crying, rasa of acting innocent, and rasa of showing his beautiful form even while crying, and expressions of the emotion, and very nicely. So there's a poetry, there is an historical description of how Lord became Damodar, and there is a philosophical implicit meaning that why the Lord gets born, not by length, by devotion. So we can, with the good lesson that we need to learn is, if at all we have to get Lord, if at all our prayers have to reach Lord, it is only through devotion, but not without any of our empirical effort. It's not through our knowledge, through our power, through whatever we have, but we can only and only bind Lord in our heart through devotion. So the importance of devotion, importance of servitude, attitude, devotion is very much explained in text 2. That's how Satyavrata Muni enjoyed this pastime. So Prabhu, third thing.
Iti drikshvalila kunde swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam tadyesi tadnyeshu bhaktarjitatvam puna prematastam satavriti vande.
Yeah, iti drikshvalila bhir ananda kunde. So here, Satyavrata Muni gives it tells the benefit of remembering the pastimes. We said, right? Shrunvatam Sakata Krishna. So he says that benefit of remembering this pastime, how it is drowning him in the ocean of bliss, overwhelmed with devotion. So he's feeling while he's writing the poetry, while he's writing the prayer, by remembering that itself, his heart is overwhelmed with devotion, and like the ocean of bliss. And then Satyavrata Muni pauses the description of the Leela. So it's very interesting. In Damodarastakam, Satyavrata Muni does not complete the Leela description. He pauses here. So first he said controller gets controlled, he's bound, he's crying, he's displaying a lot of characteristics that are not to be found, not to be expected from Lord. And he gets bound by love of devotion. And then again he goes into the Dasya Bhav. The moment he remembers this pastime, taking a pause, he gets that feeling of Dasya Bhav. And then he prays that I want to pay obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. So what we have to learn here is another very important thing. When sweetness supersedes the greatness. So now he's not thinking that Lord is great. Lord is full of bliss. And when we think about that, he's getting that overwhelming devotion that comes, and that supersedes, that sweetness of devotion in Satyavrati's Muni mind, that greatness has gone. He started Astaka with saying Namamishwaram. Oh my God, you're a big man. But by two verses, when he has described and he is experiencing how Krishna is there, how he's displaying, greatness gone. That sweetness has erupted, and love conquers the beloved. So when the sweetness supersedes greatness, when we come out of the awe feeling of God is there and is only trying to punish us or something like that, that awe will go. The very crux of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy given by Chaitanya, love of Godhead. The moment when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, it's supposed to increase the love of Godhead, right? That's one Maha Mantra That's one thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to increase the love of Godhead, nothing more. So when we increase the love towards him, then the greatness is gone, sweetness comes, and that love, with that love, we can conquer our beloved. Here our beloved is Krishna. For Satyavata Muni also, beloved is that. Beloved can be any object of our worship. In our thing, so greatness leads to submission. When we understand the greatness of a person, submission, and that from submission, and then from there, sweetness gives affection, and good mixture of this is devotion. Greatness to submission, sweetness to affection. So when that mixture comes as devotion, then we are on the right path. And Satyavata Muni is trying to help us understand this. And by delving into the pastimes of the Lord, like it's like drowning into the ocean of bliss. Of course, these expressions, the prayers, poetry, and singing, that is at the caliber of Satyavrata Muni, we may not be able to really experience that because we are still in the mode of passion and ignorance, whereas this is in the mode of pure goodness. But still, we can get a glimpse of what the feelings of Satyavrata Muni is there. So at least our heart, if these points touch our heart, somewhere, one day or other, we will also start getting that, that happiness when we sing Damodarastakam. Yashoda was not concerned how great Krishna is. She didn't care. She was running and trying to punish him because she was very angry on that day about Krishna. So she didn't care what great, because why? The word how great Krishna is, in the previous pastime, in the sequence of in the Krishna book that we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna has displayed the universal form to her, but either she has forgotten by the arrangement of the Yogamaya, but she at least in this Leela she is not concerned, but on how much Krishna was dependent on her. So her Vatsalya Bhava was very dominant, saying that even that Krishna was running, and because Krishna is crying after he got caught, he thought that Krishna is dependent on her, and that's why she could catch him, and when she was punishing, Krishna is crying. Only when we are dependent on somebody, we cry, right? Otherwise, we won't bother. And when a mother catches a child and she wants to discipline, the child cries because child is expressing, "Mama, I am dependent on you. Please forgive me," or I just done it, so I'm dependent. So please leave me. So Yashoda Maya's feeling was there. But here, when sweetness supersedes greatness, love conquers the beloved. So controller gets controlled. Lord does not get bound by the length of the rope, but by the depth of devotion. When sweetness supersedes greatness, love conquers the beloved. So this should be our aspiration, our future state of in devotion. Or when we go through the Damadara, we can see that. Yeah. Prabhu, next one. Varam Deva.
Varam Deva Moksham na Mokshavadim va na Chanyam Raneham Vareshadapiha Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Sadami Manasya Virastam Kimani.
Hare Krishna. So here, still the Leela is paused. He is no more describing. After second shloka, Leela is paused. He is not describing the Leela. But here he acknowledges the Lord's potency. Again, he goes into Dasya Bhava, and he says the Lord's potency as Varadaraja. That means the one who can give the boons. But now, because he's immersed into the depth of devotion, he's enjoying the bliss of devotion by sheer remembering the pastime. He has gone to a state where that he doesn't need any material aspects and also liberation. And then his only desire becomes, because greatness is superseded by the sweetness, right? That's what we have seen in the previous thing. So since that greatness is superseded by sweetness, love about the beloved has multiplied, and then he wants Krishna to manifest as a small boy in his heart always, and then he's refusing to get anything, any other thing. So love desires, the actual love, because in the previous thing, if you see, when sweetness supersedes greatness, love conquers the beloved, right? When that love, the pure love happens, love desires nothing other than the beloved. And this is a very important thing as far as the Damodara Leela is concerned, or any pure love is concerned, because that the perfect harmony happens. Because the person, so for example, a person A and B are there. A loves B, and when the love increases, A stops thinking about himself and he start thinking about B. What is good for him? What does he like? What should I do to make him love? And then B also thinks about A. Oh, what should I do? How do I please him? And perfect synchronization happens in love, and that's why love is very powerful. That's why even in the material world, the so-called lust that we call, when people love each other, they can go to any extent of doing anything, right? To any extent. And they go against the society, they go against the parents, and they take a lot of hardships. A very rich girl comes into the house of a very poor man, and a poor man goes in the house of a rich girl, and they don't care what is in a normal marriage transaction. We see so many things, right? The caste, the material position, and so many parameters. Parents check it out, but when it comes to love, nothing happens. Everything is normalized, even in the material, very gross level material. And think of this love. We are talking about a love at a very high standard. And love desires nothing other than the beloved. And this is a state in which Satyavrata Muni is there while he's remembering the past time. So when he starts loving that past time and he wants Krishna to manifest in his heart, then for him, nothing matters. Only the love for Lord should remain. So love desires nothing other than the beloved. So in our, because we are aspiring devotees, we are not at that stage. So if you translate this line of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, we can say devotion. When our devotion gets matured, is getting mature, it increases its maturity, then we'll slowly concentrate on what our object of worship wants than anything else, right? So the more and more, it's not only towards Krishna, but even for devotees. For example, all of us love and have a very special and a unique relationship with Srila Prabhupada, right? Somewhere in our devotional path, devotional service, we keep thinking, what would please Srila Prabhupada? We keep thinking like that, right? Some people say that, you know, how Srila Prabhupada was pleased when he came to the Far East, Middle East countries, particularly in Egypt and other places. I think Turkey and some places where he has visited on transit. He said, you know, if I'm very pleased if somebody does some preaching in this land, or some purpose. And we also remember how Prabhupada was pleased when devotees distribute books or when devotees read books, because he is our beloved. And for us, there's nothing more than to please him. And particularly the disciples of Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, devotees who have helped Srila Prabhupada, for them the world was nothing but only to please him. They've done so many sacrifices, right? So love is an important thing for us. Love means devotion. Love desires nothing. So we'll go to the fifth.
Idam te mukam bojam atyanta nile vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaisha gopyam muhushchumbitam bimba raktadaram me manasya virastam alam lakshalabai.
Okay, here here Leela describes, Leela again resumes. After second sloka, Leela stops. Third, fourth, enjoying the Leela only, no Leela description. And then he goes to describe the Leela bit thing, how Yashoda Maya was trying to express her love. So Leela description resumes a bit, and devotion catapults us to a summit of yogic meditation. So here, because Yashoda Maya is enjoying this, now Yashoda Maya, the description of Yashoda Maya is talking. So Yashoda Maya's devotion was so good, her Vatsalya Bhava was so good, she has attained the summit of yogic meditation. What it means is, Some people think by doing yoga meditation is one of the ways to conquer the Lord, and Lord can be conquered by yogic meditation. But it's the other way. Getting absorbed in devotion and getting connected to the Lord and being able to communicate our feelings to the Lord and experiencing the presence of the Lord will automatically take us to the yogic meditation. Because then we don't have to make a lot of efforts to concentrate our mind, because our mind is already absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord. The fact that yogic meditation is practicing our mind with a lot of tough things to concentrate so that we can meditate on the Lord, but devotion takes us a different route. It automatically takes us to the yogic meditation. Beauty of the Lord is described again here. Here, what it means is the importance of devotion is described. Devotion catapults us to, or takes us to the summit of yogic meditation. Beauty of the Lord is described again, and value of millions of benediction in comparison to the manifestation of the Lord in our hearts. So what happens to us if Lord gets manifested in our hearts? That is equivalent to getting millions and millions of benediction. So this again is one of the benefits. So here in this verse, beauty of the Lord described, and much more than that is when we get absorbed in the devotion of the Lord, the devotion itself will take us to the summit of the yogic meditation. We don't have to follow any other paths. And then in the 6th verse, it's an interesting verse. Suddenly the pattern of Damodarastakam changes. The flow of Damodarastakam takes a different turn. And again, Satyavratamani goes back to a Dasibha or awe. Suddenly remembers, because this also happens even in the Damodara description. Parikshit Maharaj is being told about Damodara. Sukadeva Maharaj is describing this little boy, thief, butter thief, and Mother Yashoda is doing this, and now she's caught him, and she's going to bind him. At that pace, at that peak of that pastime, suddenly Sukadeva Goswami also takes a pause of the Leela. And then he tells Parikshit Maharaj, are you aware that what my Mother Yashoda is doing? She's going to bind someone, not the little boy. She may be binding little boy. And then Sukadeva Goswami tells, na chantar na bahiryasya na purvam na pichaparam purvaparam bhaishchantar jagatyo jagachaya. Parikshit Maharaj, please listen. Yashodama is caught, but he is not binding that person, that small kid. He is na chantar na bahiryasya na purvam na pichaparam. There is no past, present, future. There is nothing behind him, nothing behind him. Everything is him. Jagatyo Jagacha. He is such a great person. Yashodamaya is now binding Krishna, na chantar na bahiryasya na purvam na pichaparam purva param bhaishchantar jagatyo jagachaya. And then he says, he's that person. We are talking about that person, not this little boy. But why Yashodamaya could do it? Because she said, tam mat atmajam. Yashodamaya felt that Krishna is hers, completely hers. So there's no other thing for her. So that's why she could catch it. Again, the love comes there. So in the same context, suddenly from the beauty, bliss, and even though Satyavratamani exhibited that idea that, greatness, when it conquered by sweetness, nothing else is needed, but still he goes into the greatness. Why? As sadhakas, we should also remember, even though we are remembering the Krishna's pastimes here, the Damodara pastimes, ultimately we should also know that who is he and why is he doing this. Otherwise, there's a tendency maybe that we may get a feeling of familiarity and that sahajiya bhav, they call it, right? We need to avoid that. So while we enjoy that wonderful pastime, we want to get into the depths of love and affection, but we should also at the back of our mind remember, oh, he's the person. Like here he described the 6 forms of the Lord. Again, Damodara word comes, Ananta, Vishnu, and then Prabhu and Isha, all the names come. And 3 stages of sorrowful condition also, Satyavrata Muni basically is articulating our thoughts, fallen, ignorant, and illusion. So we are put into that condition. So, and then he seeks the darshan of the Lord. In that state of mind, as a servant of the Lord, who's in a fallen condition, and then he pleads mercy. And current afflictions are because of our separation from Lord, he says so, and seek a need for us to seek darshan. So through this verse, Satyavrata Muni is articulating more for the reader to understand that we need to seek his darshan and how to present before him to get his glance. So we need to be, if we want to get the darshan, we need to know our position, understand our position, believe our position, and then go to him. That we are somehow or other separated by our own will, by our own consciousness, but now we have woken up to seek his mercy so that he'll take us back. So unless that feeling of that seeking, or feeling of that sharanagati, or feeling of that prapatti, or feeling of that fallenness and submissiveness doesn't come, Krishna is not available for us. Just like the way we say that he is not born by length of the robe, but depth of devotion. But that to get that depth of devotion, we need to also understand our own position, where we are, and why we are not able to execute what is even told to us many, many times. So this is an interesting verse. If you compare the other verses, that sweetness is not there much, but there's a very strong instruction is there. And then the Leela resumes again. So Leela starts, 1, 2, stops, then Leela comes, then stops, and then Leela continues. It's a very interesting narration that he goes. And Leela resumes, and then controller gets control, but he's still in control. So because here he's talking about Nalakuvera and Manigriva, Krishna clearly says, even though when he's in the bind state, forget about when he's not bound. Even though in the state of being bound, the Lord who is controller gets control, but he here again shows us that he's in control. Again, Satyavrata Muni remembers him as Damodara. And Krishna gives darshan who have devotion or who was recommended by devotees, Nalakuvera and Manigriva, even though they were offenders, but Narada Muni, because of their in touch with Narada Muni, they get a very good opportunity through his mercy to be able to to be liberated by Krishna, and also have darshan of Krishna, and they also get a lot of devotion. And relieves Nalakuvera and Manigriva and also gives devotion. And this is the kind of end of the pastime. So he does very quick fast forward of the pastime, but in each phase he tells this. Here, the important thing is, even in whatever situation Lord may be there, in whichever pastime he may be there, we should know that he is in full control. He is in full control, but that sometimes that control will come at the right time. That control will manifest to us in the right time, but he is in control. And the great devotees have understood that he is always in control, and he does it. Like they say, right? Prahlad Maharaj, why he was not afraid? Because you know the Lord is in full control, and if Lord wants, he'll be saved at any situation. There's no problem. He doesn't have to worry how poisonous the snakes were and how much of height he's being dropped and how strong is elephant. He doesn't care. So these things that if God wants it, he'll easily control. What's a big deal? You know, that faith. Of course, we are nowhere there, but here what is important is, in any situation, Lord is controlled. Lord is always in control. That has to be there in our mind so that we can get that mood of servitude. And then, of course, the very important thing comes, the last shloka, the ultimate shloka. Yes, Prabhu.
Namastestu dhamne spuradiptidhamne Tvadiyodarayata vishwasya dhamne Namo radhikayai tvadiya priyayai Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam.
Hare Krishna. So here, he basically tells that Lord offers unlimited mercy through his unlimited pastimes, right? So, Namaste to Damne, Suradhiti Damne, So Ananta Namo Ananta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam. So there are unlimited pastimes. To unlimited pastimes, Lord is giving unlimited mercy. And here it's interesting. Satyavrtamani ends, the object and object of devotion both are glorified. A rope and the belly. Krishna is glorified, the rope and the belly, whatever came as the objects to increase our devotion, all are glorified. And as I told you, that Krishna, Damodara is also very intimately connected with Radharani's pastime. He also remembers Radharani, who is very beloved to Krishna, because here we are talking about love and being beloved and being able to remember the Lord in those wonderful ways. So this is how the 8 things, and the way very nicely explained by Chaitanya Chand Prabhu. I got quite inspired by his thing. So we can quickly go through each one of them, 8 points. So one is, first one, the controller gets controlled, the Lord becomes caught, and Lord is bound not by length of the rope but depth of devotion. When sweetness supersedes greatness, love conquers the beloved, and love desires nothing other than the beloved absolute state of harmony of thoughts. Devotion, when it takes us to the summit of the yogic meditation, we don't have to go to yogic meditation to get devotion. Devotion automatically takes. Srila Prabhupada used the word lift for that, right? Need for us to seek his darshan, and how should we present before him if we get his glance? Yeah, that's very important thing. And then controller gets control, but he's still in control. That is when he's talking about Nalakuvera. And Lord offers unlimited mercy through his unlimited pastimes. There are unlimited pastimes as a Namo Ananta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam. And he also remembers and glorifies Srimati Radharani in this pastime. So these are the 8 important points. I just want to pause a bit here before I go to the next topic. Any comments or questions we can quickly take, and then we can go to the other things.
Hare Krishna, if anyone has a question, they can raise it. I have unmuted you all, or you can put it in the chat box also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a wonderful session. So, like in the Damodarastakam, like mainly we were talking about like the love, affection, and devotion towards the Lord. But what happens is, like in material world, like we are used to conditional love. So many times what happens, like in our devotion life also, like when we love Lord, but many times when like the life situation comes, like we tend to have this conditional love towards the Lord. So how to overcome this type of conditional love, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna, which is very much hindering our devotional progress. So, you are on mute, Prabhuji.
In my explanation to that, thanks for asking this, Prabhu. With my little limited knowledge, I can tell at least I should be happy. At least I have this conditional love. There are many people who don't have even that. So since we know that our love is conditional, itself is a big thing, that we know the problem. So then if we are sincere, slowly, that quantum of conditions will slowly go. It's like that I say, before we start reading Srila Prabhupada books, most of us, right? God means that he's our order supplier. We go and we keep on asking, right? So as we progress, as we associate with devotees, keep hearing, it becomes very difficult for us to go and keep on asking the Lord, right? That we feel it's not right. Slowly we say, okay, that conditions will reduce. How they reduce? Instead of asking for material things, we'll ask for something devotion. So I want to become a better devotee. My children have to become good devotees. I should be able to serve. Still, there is condition that, you give me this, then I'll become. But that condition, the flavor of the conditions is slowly changing. In our own lives, we can see it. How we were when we came to Krishna consciousness and how we are. Slowly that condition, and the conditions are getting now nicely coated with bhakti. But still the Mishra is there. So slowly, a stage will come, like instead of be asking even for the so-called devotional things, we come to a stage to ask him what to give us more bhakti or give us more service. So Srila Prabhupada, when he's asking us to chant, that's why he put that principle: pray so that I can serve better. So material conditions laced with devotion, and again asking something to get better devotion, to get more service. And the next stage, as we progress into this, next stage is that we just say, I'm ready to do what you want me to do. I'm at your feet. So I get guided by your instruction that comes to me as buddhi. Tesham satataitanam bhajatam pritipam dadami buddhi yogantam. I know, Lord, I have to come to a stage where you will guide me. You'll give that buddhi. And so slowly it changes. So we don't have to be worried that we are conditioned at this stage. No problem. We are supposed to be conditioned. Eventually we'll cross if we follow this simple formula that Srila Prabhupada has given. And we have seen devotees doing it. And again, I'm not being proud, but even if we look at ourselves, that change is happening. It may not be consistent. It may not be that much that we want to be, because there is always still faults in our practice, right? So that's why the very famous Kabir Doha is there. I keep telling this whenever this karatu abhyas jadamati sujan rasari avat jawat shilpar kare nisha. Abhyas. Be with devotees. Slowly, your own conditions will change. We ourselves can look up. So that's why it's important for us in our practice of devotional service. We need to have what I always call it as a pause moment. A pause moment is that we always say that we have to seek for association of devotees, right? Sometimes we should seek association with ourselves. Take a pause and see how my life is changing. And I had this experience few times that when I took this calm pause and I was seeing the miracles that happened in my own life. Again, very, very low. I'm still long way to go compared to many people. A lot of faults are there with me. Still, I could feel that happiness. Oh my God, this has changed. Am I like this? Was I like this before? What could have happened to me if I was not in this? So much thing is happening. So that's not a thing to be proud of, but that's a thing to acknowledge that the power of devotion is also affecting even a sinful and a fallen person like me. So less and less I do that, more and more that effect will come. The medicine is definitely working, and we have to be conscious of it. There's nothing wrong in being self-introspective and to say that medicine is working. And if we strongly feel that medicine is not working, then definitely we need to understand that somewhere, we are not following the right thing. But if you feel that medicine is working little, no problem. Little by little, we can move on in life. Slow and steady, we'll reach a point where somebody will pick us up. So first thing, we need to, don't worry about condition, don't worry about faults, don't worry about falling. Lord is there to protect us as long as we follow simple instructions of Srila Prabhupada. That medicine will work. It has worked for thousands and millions of people, and from a very, very unbelievable backgrounds. So it has to work for us also. We have to believe in the medicine. We have to believe in the doctor. Then things will happen. But it may take time. Sorry for a long answer, but yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu will stop at this point, or yeah, Hare
Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We are fortunate to have your darshan today. Thank you. And Prabhu, you have beautifully explained today's session. It's highlighting very important points for us. This is something I feel new, and I learn many things from this session. Thank you so much.
Murli Prabhu, at what time we should stop for Aarti? Let me know.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you wanted some more points to be added, right? So that can.
I will just show, I'll just try to not, and probably we can take that later, but I'll just try to tell very interesting thing. Now I'm going to, okay, we'll take that later, but I'll just cover one point, Prabhu. This I leave it for all of you to probably, if there is any other session that is possible, sometime later we'll do it. So whenever we read scriptures, in one of our acharyas have told the way we should understand the scriptures, right? This now I'm moving to a lecture by Hariparshad Prabhu. Upakramo upasamharo, that what is beginning and what is in the end. Abhyaso purvata phalam, arthavado upapattati cha, lingam tatparya nirnaye. Upakramo upasamharo. There are 6 ways of understanding this text. And if you see, whatever little we have discussed in the last 45 minutes has all these elements. To analyze its beginning and conclusion. Nama, Nama. First Nama Mishwaram, Namo Radhikaya, Dasya Bhav. And to see what is repeated in the text, feeling of love, the words of Damodara, bliss in enjoying the pastime keeps repeating. And what is very unique in the text, Satyartha Muni tells the pastime, pauses, gives the benefit of the pastime, gives instruction, something very unique. And this, I'm just giving in a very brief note. And to also see what is the results of studying the text. So when we read about this Satyavrata Muni's thing, what is the result of studying the text? One result that we should automatically get is we should get more interested to know about the Leelas of the Lord and more interested to see how Acharyas have given so much depth into what they have put, right? So many philosophical things. And benefit is we should feel very happy. And when we chant Damodarastakam next time, if we can remember those 8 points crisscrossing our mind, that is the result of the studying this text in this form, right? And to see what is glorified in the text. Krishna is glorified, his robe is glorified, his belly is glorified, Radharani is glorified, Yashodama is glorified. So who are all the objects that are glorified? And to analyze and logic and reason given in the text. Yeah, Artha Vada. So Tatparya Nirnaya. And what is there? What is the analysis? The analysis of Damodarastakam, if we see that, analysis, it tells us that love is the predominant thing. And with love, we can conquer anything. God himself got born by love. And love will take us to the summit of yogic meditation. And it is not the length of the rope, but the love, depth of devotion. And greatness should be superseded by the sweetness. And when we start loving somebody, and there's no end to it, right? So there's a analyze any logic or reasoning given in the text. This is the reasoning that Satyavrata Muni gives, and this is from the Paramatma Sandarbha. This very beautifully explained by Hariparshad Prabhu, and he also gives. I just want to leave it as a teaser. He gives many meanings of Damodara. So whenever there's any other opportunity, we can take that as a session, because I've heard that lecture at least 4 times. So I always get excited when Damodara month comes to share with people that there are about 12 to 13 explanations from different acharyas about the single word Damodara. So today is the first day, so I again got re-excited about that lecture. But just wanted to tell you that Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I think my wife now will start the Damodarastakam. You please tell us the logistics, Prabhu, and how do we do that? My wife will start singing, right? That's all, no?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for enlightening us so beautifully. The Damodarastakam totally came alive for us today. Every shloka, every verse, every line, Prabhuji, Dandavat pranams to you for this beautiful explanation of Damodarastakam. Prabhuji, going forward, we will be inviting the hosts to spotlight their aartis, their altars, and preparing their ghee lamps. And then we will be inviting Mataji for singing the Damodarastakam.
Mataji, actually, all the credit goes to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. It is. I just happened that I read his article. That's all I did. But the content, the concept, the flow, I picked up from him. But I just done few improvising. But otherwise, the content is from his article. So we should be grateful for such great, wonderful devotees in ISKCON. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I really thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. Hopefully, sometime later, again, we'll be very happy to connect with you, probably in person, sometime during this course. Hare Krishna. So I'll leave the floor to my wife. She will come here and.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It will be our good fortune to hear from you again. We would now like to invite all the hosts. We would request you to please, Hare Krishna, welcome Mataji. I will just take a minute and announce all the hosts for today. Anyone else who would like to showcase their altar, you're very welcome. Please showcase your altar as Mataji will sing Damodarastakam for us. His Grace Shama Sudarshan Prabhuji, His Grace Rajajan Madhav Prabhuji, Srimati Sindura Mataji, Srimati Niranjana Mataji, Shri Ramesh Prabhuji, Shri Kalaivani Mataji, Shri Neeraj Prabhuji, Srimati Manju Mataji. Anyone else, like I said, who would like to showcase their altar, you're very welcome along with your families to showcase your altars while Mataji would be singing Damodarastakam for us. And it is also displayed on the screen how the ghee lamp should be offered. Kindly follow the steps of 4 circles to the feet, 2 circles to the belly, 3 circles to the head, and 7 circles around. Hare Krishna, welcome once again to Her Grace Revati Gopi Mataji. Let's chant a round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra to welcome Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mataji, with your permission, can we start?
Yeah, am I audible, Mataji, now?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I start now?
Yes, please, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Namami Ishwaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasa Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam. Namami Ishwaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasa Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam. Yeshodabhiyolu Kala Navamanam Paramrishtamatyantato Drusya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rujantam Karamboja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhushvasakam Pate Rekanka Kanta Sita Damodaram Bhakti Pattam Idhishwalilabhin Ananda Kunde Karosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadeshitagnishu Bhakti Jitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavruti Vande वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वारेशदपि इदं तेव पूर्णाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनसा विरष्टापि मन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलैः वृतं कुण्तलैर्निक्ता रक्तैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बारक्ताकरं मे मनस्या विरास्तामालं लक्षलाभै नमो देवदामोदरनन्त विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालातिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृक्ष्याति दिनं भतानु गृहाणि क्षमामज्ञां इति अक्षिदृश्या कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धा मूर्तैव यत्पत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भज कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्ये प्रयच्छ नमो शीघ्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेश नमस्ते सुधाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोधराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसकुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं यशोदाभियोलोकालाधवमानं परामृष्टमत्यन्तातो दृश्यगोप्या हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय दामोदरा 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 श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय श्री श्री यशोदा दामोदर की जय और प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा
Thank you very much, Mataji. And we once again would like to thank His Grace Jaga Jiva Jagannath Prabhuji for this very inspiring session of bringing the Damodar Leela and the Damodarastakam alive for us. We'd like to thank Her Grace Revati Gopi Mataji for beautifully singing the Damodarastakam. We'd like to thank Neeraj Prabhuji for the Mangalacharan. We'd also like to once again thank all our hosts, His Grace Shama Sudarshan Prabhuji, His Grace Brajajan Madhav Prabhuji, His Grace, Her Grace Sonanya Mataji, Srimati Sindura Mataji, Srimati Niranjana Mataji, Shri Ramesh Prabhuji, Srimati Kalaivani Mataji, Shri Neeraj Prabhuji, and their families for coming on this forum, for displaying their beautiful, beautiful altars, and for having such beautifully lit lamps and aartis with us for today's session. We also would like to take this opportunity to thank His Grace Murlidhar Charan Prabhuji and Her Grace Sakhi Charan Mataji, who continuously inspire us, who guide us, and who give us this beautiful opportunity for an association like with such senior devotees, such senior Vaishnavas. We are very, very thankful to Prabhuji and Mataji for all their support. If there are any other questions or comments that anybody has, otherwise we could conclude with Narsimha Pranams.
Just I want to say thanks to each and every one of you present here for this opportunity to celebrate Damodara with all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. And please, we request you to stay connected with us every Monday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. UAE time to continue with this blissful journey of Damodarastakam, the lectures and the Aarti. The next session will be on October 13, Thursday, by His Grace Shama Sudarshan Prabhuji. Prabhuji will be taking verse number 1 of Damodarastakam. All of you who would be interested in hosting, please contact us, and we will be happy to host and spotlight your aartis and your altars just like today. We conclude the session with Narasimha Pranams. Vigna Vinashak Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadaine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankanakhalai. Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha. Yato yato yami tato Narasimha. Bahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Tava Kara Kamala Varenaka. Adbhuta Shringam. Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam. Keshavadhirata Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Narasimhadev. 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 Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Kartik Mahotsav ki jai. Damodar Desh Yatra ki jai. Rakal Krishna Desh Yatra ki jai. So we conclude today's session. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna.